Well, joining me now is Federico. He's a founding member and senior partner with a law firm, Shokor, Federico, and Staten. Federico, the president, taking some of the credit for the lower number of opioid abuse cases. Is it the policies of his administration, or are people just more aware of the dangers of opioids now?
I really think it's both. I think it's clear that the media has been incredibly helpful. And with the civil litigation that's pending here in Cleveland, it's really apparent that now pretty much everybody is aware of opioids. They're aware of the addictive nature of the drug, when previously the country really had been deceived by the manufacturers and distributors. So I think public awareness is as good as I've ever seen it with regard to any problem in terms of drugs or addiction. That's very important. And politically, what's really unique is that, this issue, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, it doesn't matter. Everybody feels the same way, and they should. This is a menace, and it's something that needs to be dealt with swiftly.
But you also believe drug makers, pharmaceutical companies should be held accountable, maybe even criminally. You think they should face charges?
Absolutely. I can tell you that, this is a crisis. This is an epidemic. This is a problem that was the making of the manufacturers. When OxyContin, which is really the primary drug responsible for this crisis, was created, it was created for the sole purpose of acute pain, 7 to 10 days maximum on the drug, unless you had a terminal illness where addiction wouldn't matter. And unfortunately, the manufacturers realized that they could now, if they could convince the medical community that they could give this drug for acute long-term pain, they would be making tremendous profits, and that's what they did. And then the distributors saw the drug flood the market. There was a pharmacy in West Virginia in a small town that was doing 3.2 million pills a year in a town of 3,000 people, and the distributors were delivering the drug. So clearly, they are responsible for this epidemic.
But getting a conviction against a drug maker isn't so easy, right? I mean, you have to be able to prove intent.
You do have to prove intent. And as a result of actually this civil case, there's been a great deal of what's called discovery, where we've been able to get a number of documents from the manufacturers, from the distributors, that really objectively show what they knew when in terms of the addictive nature of this drug, the fact that they were concealing that information from the medical community, and many physicians unknowingly were getting their patients addicted. So it was a profit-motivated kind of experience that they were going through, and I think that intent comes right off the page.
But there's more than just the pharmaceutical companies. I mean, are doctors overprescribing opioids causing the crisis as well?
There are a few bad apples in every bushel, for sure. But I really think that when this problem was in its infancy, the medical community had been misled and led to believe that OxyContin and opioids were not addictive in nature. And as a former and then really current medical malpractice attorney, we've looked at a lot of overdose cases, a lot of suicide cases, a lot of addiction cases, and it became apparent to us around the year 2000 that the doctors were being misled. And so, no, it's really not the medical community. Sure, you're going to have a few bad doctors out there trying to make a lot of money, by, pill mills is what we refer to, but they're few and far between.
Well, for the president, we know this is personal. I mean, his brother, he's talked about, died of opioid addiction. And so many people we know, or people in our family or maybe friends, are addicted. What's it going to take overall, do you think, to end this crisis?
Well, if you look at it's 48,000 now. 48,000 people last year died. 318 people a day are dying in this country from opioids. That is like one plane crashing and everybody dying every day of the year. I mean, how long would it take us to stop putting planes up in the air? It wouldn't take very long. I think that because this situation, this opioid crisis affects everybody, doesn't matter what your race is, your socioeconomic background, none of that matters. Everybody I know, everybody I've met throughout this journey legally has somebody who has been affected. So
Right.
really what I think it's going to take is a concerted effort. I think President Trump is pointing us in the right direction
Sure.
on this issue.
Well,
it's going to take, it's about accountability ultimately.
Absolutely. Philip Federico, thanks for being here on Clearcut Plus.